Guys, I've been thinking about this over and over, and with the news that Kyler Murray is missing practice due to the foot injury, one thing has become clear. This is the darkest, most terrible timeline.
Get that stuff out of here! It's Southwest Bias!
Welcome in to another edition of Southwest Bias. My name is Derek Montia, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX.
Not always.
But not always, just occasionally. And I am glad to have you guys here. We have so much news to talk about, including one Erika Day joining us from the WNBA PHNX Mercury podcast to talk about the finals tonight. But I was innocently minding my own business the other night. I was just, as one does, watching the Roast Masters edition of Celebrity Weakest Link, when this question popped up for comedian Margaret Cho, sending me into a tizzy. The question, as you might not be able to see there, says, after ice hockey proved unpopular in the desert, the NHL's Arizona Coyotes relocated in 2024 to what state? Of course, she answered Iowa. This question absolutely set me off because
She answered Iowa?
She answered Iowa, which is just a crazy answer considering there's no professional major sports in Iowa, but I digress. I could go into that for a half an hour. What really angered me about this whole situation is the very idea that the Coyotes left Arizona due to popularity. And as we sit here on the precipice of the NHL's next season, and I am without, once again, my beloved hockey team, I can't help but think about what a stupid ass way to look at that is, and no offense to Celebrity Weakest Link. They do not know hockey, and they do not know puck, so I don't expect them to understand this. But the Coyotes did not move due to popularity. The Coyotes moved due to ineptitude, and that's it. The Coyotes moved due to the failing of this franchise to understand the fan base here in Arizona and to make the right moves in order to have that team thrive and prosper, quite frankly. The Glendale move will still go down in history as the dumbest thing that the Coyotes ever did, and I don't think that there's much doubt about that considering the way that relationship ended and considering the way that it went overall. But anybody that knew hockey here in this town knew that the Arizona Coyotes were not going to work out in the West Valley because over 70% of their season ticket holders lived in the East Valley, and now their commute was substantially farther, and also going to an arena most of them didn't want to go to. That is what killed off the popularity of the Coyotes and hockey in this town. That is what caused things to go in the direction it did. I was witness to this whole thing. I mean, quite frankly, I am still just furious about the idea of hockey moving, and I realized I repressed my feelings over it because it hurts so much to watch the Coyotes move and become the mammoth of all things. But again, I say this because I was 15 when the Coyotes came here, and I was a relatively new hockey fan. I had recently found the Quebec Nordiques right before they moved to Colorado, and I had jumped fully on board in 1994 and 95 for that Colorado Avalanche season, and I was treated immediately to a very good hockey team. I can't express how much the Coyotes moving here meant to me and how excited I was at that age to have a hockey team. And here I sit 30 years later and am devastated still by the thought of this team not being here anymore. I mean, my entire life at one point surrounded hockey. My best friend, Aaron Quinton, was the number one ranked goalie in the state. We spent a lot of time hanging out with hockey players, and it was a lot of fun riding around in his awful little Nissan Sentra and terrorizing Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall. But one thing I remember is that every single person that Quentin had as a teammate lived in the East Valley. They were also very tall men in high school. They were like 6'5", and we were short guys. But I digress. Aaron was the only person I knew in the West Valley that liked hockey. So even in 1998, a young Derek in high school could have probably told you that moving the hockey team as practically as far away as you could from the people that loved hockey and were your cherished season ticket holders was the beginning of the end. But there are so many things I could go into with how this organization was poorly ran, the situation with Tempe and that vote, and quite frankly, how quickly this team was just kind of stolen away from us, right? And I still just cannot believe the way that it happened. But overall, I just am furious about the idea that hockey doesn't work in the desert. Look at what's happening in Florida. You're going to tell me that hockey doesn't work here because, what, it's hot? No, hockey didn't work here because you did a terrible job of managing a team. You did a terrible job of promoting a team, and you did a terrible job of thinking about your season ticket holders and your loyal fan base first, and not whatever other decisions played into going to Glendale, right? So I just am still very angry of the very idea that hockey wouldn't work here. If properly done, hockey absolutely works here. And that is why I have to say thank God for Shane and Andrea Doan and this group, that the PHNX hockey show did an awesome job of covering this news that they are trying their best to bring hockey back to the Valley, because we need hockey back here in the Valley, and it is outrageous to think that it wouldn't work. You know, it just needs to be ran by people who care and people who understand the sport, understand the fan base here, and understand what's going to cause people to come out. The mullet arena thing was a disaster, even though I personally thought it wasn't going to be, but that ended up being an entire other disaster for this, team. Of course, they tried their best to move to Tempe or get as close to those East Valley residents, but again, they didn't even give this team time before they were packing their bags and moving them to Utah. So again, and Utah, Margaret Cho, by the way, that's where they moved to, is Utah. But I just wanted to make sure you guys knew this, because this was a fun little tidbit about coyote packs, right? A coyote pack is not led like most animal packs by an alpha male. Instead, they are led by an alpha couple. And I can't think of anything more appropriate than Shane Doan and Andrea Doan leading our pack and bringing hockey back here to the Valley. They are the exact alpha couple we need in charge of this. And again, I'm so thankful, as we all should be, for the former hockey players in this state who are all trying to band together and bring hockey back here. And again, I think that it's an outrageous idea to think that hockey didn't work here because it was unpopular. It didn't work here because the Tempe situation was a disaster, and so was the Glendale situation. And had you just moved to Mesa in the first place, everything would have been great. Also, speaking of Mesa, I live on the West Valley, and I won't go to Mesa without staying in a hotel room over there. That's how far across town that can be for people. So you expected East Valley, ticket holders to drive all that far and then come home after a long day. You were crazy about that. But I don't know. Again, this is one of those situations where I think you're absolutely dead wrong about the popularity. And it was more about, once again, an organization here in Arizona being terribly ran. But hey, maybe that's just my Southwest bias. Glad to have you guys here. Glad to be talking about things. I mean, at least we're going to talk about the WNBA Finals with Erika Day. Maybe that will bring me some joy, because at least that team knows what it's doing. But we have nothing but other bad news to talk about here when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals. I do got the mustache behind the Mac, the one and only Shane Diefenbach. Again, Shane, make sure you let your mother know that her pumpkin bread was amazing. I told her on Twitter, but I need it to be reiterated once again. Shane, I know that you're very close to the connection of hockey. I mean, is the idea of hockey just not being popular here just as stupid as I feel like it is?
Yeah. Hold on. Hello? Why am I so quiet? Check.
I'm not used to.
Who turned me down quiet so much? Jeez. Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous, because I grew up playing hockey here. Mm-hmm. I started playing hockey when I was like 6. I played hockey up until I was in high school. It was a very big community. It continues to be a very big community. You don't have to look any further than the massive community that the Tucson Roadrunners built down there. You don't have to look any further than, we're going to keep looking further because I'm going to keep explaining. But the Ice Den in Scottsdale, that's where I grew up playing hockey. Mm-hmm. ASU hockey, it's massive right now. Those tickets are so hard to come by. There's a reason why it's so popular, and it's not because of the scarcity. It's because of how much people love it here.
Yeah.
Like everyone thinks like the people in the desert are like the Tuscan Raiders, and they only know sand and like.
Right.
No, that's not what it is. You know what? You know the biggest problem in Arizona sports? Everyone's from the Midwest.
Yes.
Everyone's from cold places. Like,
well,
and if they're
melting
not
pot, right? Like, I mean, nobody like. Few people now we're starting to have that generation of sports fan that was born here. But I grew up in a time where nobody was born here. Nobody was born here, and everybody came here from somewhere else and brought. I mean, that's one of the hardest things about growing sports here in Phoenix is that those people bring their allegiance from wherever they came from or their family lineage from rooting for those Midwestern teams with them, and they don't change over here. But it doesn't mean that they don't go out and spend their money on watching these teams here in town. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport you go to. You're always going to have to deal with a strong opposing fan presence just due to that melting pot of that Phoenix is that you're describing. Yeah.
And like even the generation that I am in where I was born here, like the roots still are strong from where my parents are from.
Sure.
And like I grew up playing hockey because my dad played hockey growing up, and he's from Seattle, and the hockey scene there is good, but it's better here. Like, I mean, we've explained this so many times. There are so many players in the NHL that grew up here, that train here.
Yeah.
Players love being here. Like, everyone thinks that hockey needs to be in a cold state, but that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it does.
No.
But like, why would you want to spend more time being cold when you play cold puck for a living?
You know how exciting it is to go in from this hot weather outside and go into that building and experience the joy of how cold it can be in there.
It's great.
I covered hockey for a few games, and I did not come dressed adequately. Not only was I far underdressed, I was not in a tie and a suit as most people are when they're covering hockey, but I soon realized why they were dressed like that. It's because it kept them warm and looking nice at the same time.
Yes.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Hockey belongs here. We need more ice rinks here to keep us cool during the summers, and it's a preposterous idea that it's due to popularity. You know what I mean? Pickleball came up out of nowhere here in this state. It became the most popular thing I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't even get on the pickleball courts by my house, right? Like, so hockey's not like a new thing popping up, but it doesn't mean that this, city and the fans here that love sports aren't ready to jump on board with a team. You just have to maybe do what the Diamondbacks did and find that success early on, right? Like that seemed to be how the Diamondbacks clawed their way into a lot of fans. But one team that has not clawed their way into the fans' hearts is the Arizona Cardinals. And after this Tennessee Titans loss on Sunday, they may have lost more fans than they ever gained. And things just keep getting worse. What did this loss cost us? Yes, it cost us a loss, but it might have cost us everything because Kyler Murray, who did briefly leave Sunday's win with a foot injury, but did return back to action, is not expected to practice today on Wednesday as he recovers from that injury. This seems to stem from that mistimed snap where the ball hit Kyler in the face and then he went down trying to go after the fumble. Not exactly sure it's a non-contact injury, not exactly sure what he did. But trust me, as a man who is the age I am at 44, most of my injuries are non-contact and I don't know how I got them either. But Kyler's a bit better shape, a bit younger. I wish this didn't happen. This is awful. Again, this just further confirms that we are in the darkest, most terrible timeline. And he was seen heading to the locker room during the game, but then he came back into the game. Jacoby Brissett is the backup here. He threw an incompletion as his only passing attempt in that game, which caused Tip Ryman also to end up on the IR. I'm not blaming Brissett for that. I'm just saying that these are facts and things that happen at the same time. But he would be the guy who might start on Sunday versus a very good Indianapolis Colts team. And I just can't get over, once again, what a disastrous place we are in right now on Wednesday versus where we were at the end of the first quarter on Sunday, Shade. It's like, legitimately, I feel like I'm living a nightmare right now.
Yeah, you're living a nightmare. The doors are all locked. The house is really dark.
There's a little girl singing some sort of nursery rhyme.
You're horrified, and the only support you're getting is Jonathan Gannon asking if you have fire in your gut.
No. They fined him too for that altercation with DeMercado on the sideline, and that's $100,000. I was just sitting there realizing how nonchalant $100,000 fine is in the NFL, but when you think about how much money that actually is, my God.
Yeah, maybe for like a superstar, but for a solid player and a coach,
and a coach,
that's a lot
that's
of
a lot of money,
That's
right?
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Like imagine
Christmas just got a little bit tighter around the Gannon household.
Yeah, imagine me being like, hey, I'm withholding a month of salary from you. You'd be like,
I can't. No, why?
No, yeah,
because I punched Damon in the chest. He deserved it anyway. All right. Well, all the things are bad with the Cardinals, so make sure to check out the PHNX Cardinals show. They will have you updated on Murray's injury, and hopefully, once again, this doesn't continue to get any worse for this team. But we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of this break, we are going to have the one, the only, the GOAT of PHNX, Erika Day, join us to talk about the Merc and the WNBA Finals. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching Southwest Bias. Well, Circle K is America's thirst stop, and when I am very upset about local Arizona sports, it's one of the places that cools me down. Also, I got myself a great gas deal today, as I tend to do because I'm an Inner Circle member, plus I'm also part of their Easy Pay system, so I stack those discounts, baby. And I was very low on gas, Shane. I forgot my wallet, as I was telling people yesterday. Was not able to get gas yesterday, but I did manage on fumes to make it to a Circle K. And that's because I wasn't going to go fill up anywhere else. I was going to make it to a Circle K because not only do I save money on gas and it was cheaper than anywhere else I could have stopped, but on top of that, I am going to get 10 cents off my next fill up thanks to this fill up. And that, once again, stacking deals on top of deals over there at Circle K. These are the things you can do if you're an Inner Circle member, and it's absolutely free. All you got to do is download the app, get enrolled, and then you use your phone number to score Circle K deals, like getting 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, and right now you can get those $5 those 28-ounce Gatorades, 3 for $5. Also, again, get your free 10-cent off by visiting once per week. You can get that once per week with the Circle K Inner Circle, excuse me. And of course, all you got to do is get a 5-gallon fill up or spend $5 and you will get that 10 cents off your next fill up. So join the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And also make Chicken and Pickle in Glendale your spot for good food, good friends, and great fun. It is the greatest place you can go when you have a large group and you don't know how you're going to accommodate that many people, because there's so much room at Chicken and Pickle and so much fun to be had. They have yard games, but more importantly, they have pickleball. I talked about how popular pickleball is here in the Valley, and they have some amazing courts, indoor courts, outdoor courts now that the weather is getting nicer, and of course, just a great place to gather around their 50 indoor or outdoor TVs and cheer on your favorite team in the coolest backyard you'll never want to leave. So family-friendly fun awaits. Visit chickenandpickle.com to plan your visit today. Make sure to head out to that location out there at Westgate. You can't miss it. It's gigantic. It's almost bigger than the AMC Theater out there. So do not miss out on the fun that can be had at Chicken and Pickle. Speaking of fun, I am very excited to be joined by my guest today from the PHNX Mercury podcast. It is the GOAT, Erika Day. Erika, thank you so much for being here. I know this is a huge time for our Mercury. Thank God for the Mercury to at least help us get over all of this other misery our other sports teams are causing us. But they are unfortunately down 0-2 right now to the Las Vegas Aces. And things aren't great, but they have a lot of time to make up some ground here, considering this is the first 7-game series in WNBA Finals history.
Yeah, and you said it. I mean, they have 2 games at home, a chance to even the series. They've played really well at home all season, but especially here in these playoffs. And to be honest with you, Derek, they've played at their best when their backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I did have quite the nightmare about Game 3 last night, but this morning I woke up and chose positivity, and I'm not going to tell anyone else what happened in that nightmare because I'm not manifesting that. This team they've allowed the Aces to score 180 points in the last 2 games. And if they allow 90 points again tonight, I mean, that is not a recipe for success for this particular team. They can score the ball at a high caliber, but they need to be defensive minded tonight. So if you're going to be in the newly known as what I'm going to call it, Morty Arena, then you should, be ready for the defensive chance tonight. You want them to put the ball in the net for sure, but be ready.
I like that more than MMC or whatever other people are calling it. We'll call it the Morty. I like calling it the Morty.
It's the morgue.
It's the morgue. I like the morgue too. But you're not wrong. Aces Jackie Young made history there in Game 2, scoring a WNBA Finals record 21 points in the third quarter. I said it to Shane yesterday. It's always the third quarter in this town that sinks our basketball teams. But it's coming off of. I don't know how to describe, really, and that's why I'm glad you're here to help me figure this out. It's coming off of what seemed like a league-changing win over the Lynx, right? And I mean, I understand what has come out. I understand that the problems here that have kind of been amplified are bigger than the playoffs and bigger than the Mercury simply beating the Lynx. But it feels like the Mercury beating the Lynx was such an upset that it has caused an upheaval in the league itself, and has kind of broken the WNBA in a way, or maybe not broken it, but maybe just exposed some of the problems that a lot of people agree with about the league.
I think if anything, that it just kind of accelerated the inevitable. I think that when Nafisa Collier, who's VP or high up in the Players Association, and I just don't want to be wrong and then be yelled at about it,
Sure,
but
sure.
she's high up in the Players Association. So when she goes down in the semifinals, the way she does, and I'm gonna sit here and defend my Phoenix Mercury and Alyssa Thomas in that play all day long, but at the end of the day, when she went down, she said, "Okay, I've got time on my hands," and she went to bat for the entirety of the league.
Yeah.
The two teams that are left are most certainly locked in on the finals, but you're definitely right that it did kind of break the system a little bit. People are talking about the fact that there are conversations being had around athletes that should not be being had about these athletes. And, I've talked not in poor light about Caitlin Clark, but she's not everything to the league, but the commissioner of this league cannot sit on her pedestal and act like Caitlin Clark should be thankful for the platform given to
Right.
her by the league. That's
Right.
just it's an unacceptable series of events, to be honest with you. And I'm grateful in a lot of ways that it accelerated the inevitable, but at the same time, it does kind of stink that it's taken so much of the light away from the finals, which is could be like the last time we see these players hoop for a while with these CBA renegotiations happening, like the lockout, especially given the events that have taken place over the last week and a half. Like the lockout is basically inevitable. Like that guy from the Avengers just needs to snap his fingers and boom, the lockout's here. So yeah, it stinks, but at the same time, like it needed to happen. And I'm
Okay.
glad that the way it happened is good because I saw someone talking about this the other day. Like, they're never going to do this in the NBA. Like, these players in the W are forced through, and I don't want to say forced in a derogatory form, but forced into a 3 to 4 year college education. So these players are prepped and ready for a moment like this. And this could never happen in the NBA when, they're going 1 year at a time and then they're never stepping back foot on a college campus ever again, unless it's to go into the Ring of Honor. So,
True.
yeah.
Well, what I will say about that is that, first of all, for somebody from the outside looking in, it did feel very much like sore losing, because you have what happened with the Lynx coach, and then you have what happened with this statement coming out, and it felt like it was all just directed at the fact that the Mercury series went the way it did, and it kind of furthered this narrative that the Mercury are kind of the villains here in this story. But what I love, and I do want to take a step back and just say, looking at WNBA players' contracts is the most absurd thing I've ever done, and I think that is all the reason why what you're talking about is true. Why this lockout needs to happen. I think that they are getting to a point where they are taking advantage of these athletes. These women still have to travel overseas to play in another league in order, and quite frankly, put themselves into danger in order just to, make what they feel like is the money that they should be making. Meanwhile, here in the United States, they are getting paid what a minimum salary player makes in most other leagues, while they are selling out those buildings, while that merch is flying off the shelf. And I just can't really see, a world where these ladies don't deserve far more money than they're making, especially the superstars of this league. And that's why this very much feels necessary. But again, that's an outside observer's perspective. What I will say is that I kind of love the Mercury being the villains here because I feel like they thrive in that role. Like you said, they thrive with their backs against the wall, but I also feel like they thrive in this role of that they're the bad guy here in this situation, and I think this is the roster for it.
This is a team of under scouted, under recruited, underpaid, to your own point, players, and they Alyssa Thomas has been so close to a championship so many times. And to be honest with you, Derek, if it's not this roster, I don't know what could get it done for her.
Right, I
She's
agree.
got a roster of shooters around her and a coach that is bought in on letting her basically run the show. And and that's a good thing, don't get me wrong. But she's got the world in her hands here in Phoenix. And to my previous point, like the CBA renegotiations, don't get too comfortable with this roster because 70-ish% of them are probably not going to be here next
Yeah,
season,
yeah.
just simply because they're unrestricted free agents. So, or restricted, and even still, like, who knows what's going to happen. So, yeah, it's just that if it's not this year, when for certain. But I know Matt Ishbia is extremely bought in on the Mercury, so I don't think if these players leave, we're going to get some, washed 22 version of Diana Taurasi, if that makes any sense to you. But I think this team is going to be competing for a long time, but I just hope it's with Alyssa Thomas at its helm. She is the backbone that you're talking about, the thrive with your backs against the wall. Like that's
Yeah.
an Alyssa Thomas bred team. And Satu Sabli has just been, she's flourish next to that of Alyssa Thomas. And so, watching them two together with the combination of Kalia Copper and I just tweeted about it. AT's all defensive first team. Natasha Mack is going to be in 2026. You can mark my words. Bookmark this video if you want to. I don't really care. She is
Clip
going to
it.
be all defense in 2026. So this team is going to be something of the works of hell for years to come as long as these people remain on the roster.
Well,
So
and
I'm
again,
hopeful about game 3, but lots to go.
I will say this: I don't even understand how this roster came together, right? Quite frankly, because again, and forgive me for this, but like a lot of sports fans, don't pay attention to the WNBA transactions, and in some cases, don't even know what it means because I'm a bad fan. But what I will say is that when I started to look at the pedigree of the roster and what they've done collectively, I I don't even understand how they all came together, other than the fact that the WNBA is what it is, and even the highest paid players in WNBA don't seem to make a ton of money. So again, putting together a big three like this was possible for this Mercury team, but they outperformed, I think, everybody's expectations on how they would come together. And Alyssa Thomas, just the fact that she makes history seemingly night in, night out is incredible, and how many triple doubles she has. But we need those big three to step up tonight. And I guess it would be safe to say, Shane said this about, any playoff series, it really doesn't start until a team wins on the road, right? So really what the Mercury got to do is take care of business at home tonight and then try to go back to Las Vegas and take one there.
Yep. It's going to be a long night for my heart. My heart rate's probably going to be through the roof, and that's okay. You can catch us on the post game live after the final buzzer on PHNX Mercury podcast. But I'm pumped. I think it's going to be a great game. I think again, this team has played so well at home. I hope that the fans show out. I think it's unfortunate that that four-letter network that this game is going to be broadcast on forces them into the 5 o'clock spot to be
That's
in prime time on the
crazy.
East
Yeah,
Coast.
that's
And
nuts.
like I'm thankful because I work at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So like I'm grateful for that, but the players are most certainly not.
Yeah.
That's so
Getting
I think
people
that's
out of
crummy.
work, people have to figure it out. Like, not to mention the fact that the baseball games that are happening today, which are one of the reasons why they're scheduling that for 5 p.m., they're happening all day long. So what does it really matter? Like, honestly, it's just insane to me. Again, I love when multiple sports are on, that I can go back and forth between them. So as a sports fan, I never see that as a negative thing. But more importantly, we need representation from our fan base, and asking people to get they're supposed to survive the I-10 and get here in a reasonable time in order to get in their seat and be ready by 5 o'clock. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
When I was in middle school, I didn't even get out of school till 4:30. So like
Oh
I
my
don't know how
God.
I would even be there, Like that's
No,
crazy.
we're
So
pulling you out the whole
I
day. We're just going to go
Yeah.
downtown and hang out is what we're going to do.
Today
for sure.
and tomorrow.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
never going back to school at that rate.
We're Mercury fans now. We don't go to school anymore. That's how that works. No. We actually have to stay in school extra long because we love the WNBA. That's actually how it works. But Erika, thank you so much for this, for stopping by. We appreciate you so much. And make sure to catch the PHNX Mercury post-game show. Are you guys doing a watch-along tonight, too, for this game?
No, because we'll have boots on the ground. So
Oh,
be
that's
tapped
right.
in with
So,
us
yeah.
over on Twitter because I've got some things that I've been cooking up. So
Uh-oh.
watch out
Well,
for that.
I can't
So
wait. I can't wait.
I'm
All
excited.
right,
It's
so
gonna be
make
a
sure
fun
to
night.
follow her. Maybe I'll stop by on the Mercury podcast again. I don't know. She kicked me out very early last time, so I don't know if I'm welcome back. But hey, thank you again for your time. We appreciate you, and go Merc.
Thanks, Derek. Bye.
All right. Well, we thank you guys so much for being here. We thank the Mercury for once again holding it down as they do for this state because they are one of the only teams that do so. So do not miss out on the PHNX Mercury postgame show tonight. As for this show, we thank you guys so much for your time. As I tell people on the Diamondbacks podcast, your time is your most valuable commodity. So we can't appreciate you enough for sharing some of your time with us. We will see you tomorrow on another 12 p.m. show. I'm going to go, or 11 a.m. show, excuse me. I don't even know what time shows are at anymore. I'm going to go at it with Damon Dog on Throwdown Thursday, and we're also going to talk a little Suns with Eric in the morning there. So make sure to join us for that. Until then, hope you guys all follow us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. The mustache behind the Mac is Shane Deef on Twitter. This whole thing is at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And again, we thank you guys so much for your time. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, behave yourselves, and remember, kids, this is the worst possible timeline if you're a Cardinals fan.
We all silly like the mayor.